Hello. Coming to you live from my beautiful home office here. Winter outside. Not the most interesting environment, but hopefully the picture and sound is good for you guys. I won't ask too many times, but as you know, I do enjoy a nice, clean, high definition stream, so let me know if it looks good and if it sounds good. If there's any issues, let me know, and I will figure that out. I see there's a bunch of you in here already, which I appreciate. I won't have to worry about filling dead air because it's not exactly my specialty. So without further ado, I will just get into it. You guys can feel free to ask me whatever you want. I do want to focus some of the time on non-golf stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the mental health charity I'm starting. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind at all spending some time answering people's questions about treatments I've gone through or what I recommend or books I've read or whatever I can do to help. Please feel free to ask. Don't be shy, even though it is a difficult thing to talk about. Hopefully you'll see that, this is a pretty nice space to do that, and I'm certainly happy to chat about whatever you want. So let's just get into it. I'm not putting slow mode on the chat, so I'm hoping I can keep up, but forgive me if I do not keep up with the chat. This is a bit of a beta test for me. I have no idea how many questions I'm going to get, so I will do my best. Just keep an eye on how many questions you think, you can see how far behind I am at certain points, so if you think I'm way behind, maybe just hold on to your question for a minute and fire it in a little bit later down the stream. But yeah, let's get into it. So Mitchell is asked, and guys, let me know if you can read this well enough. If you can't, I can make the font bigger, but I kind of thought it would be nice to put it here where the backdrop is fairly clean and I get to use my font, which satisfies me greatly. Mitchell's asking, what's the best way to simplify hitting a fade 2-degree open face? Mitchell, 2-degree open face, I'm assuming you mean face to path. So you'll probably want to start the ball slightly left of target for a right-handed golfer, so you'll want your path to get a little bit outside in if you can. So you've got the face slightly open. You probably don't need it 2 degrees open to hit a fade. Honestly, any bit of open will produce a fade as long as that face is relative to the path that you've set. So as long as the path is pretty neutral or a little bit outside in, that's the simplest way to do it. In terms of how to do that, I can't give you that lesson in this 2 seconds, but maybe something I can make a video on later. But just focus on shifting your path a little bit left to target. That should help you get the start line and curve it back. I'm just checking quickly to make sure that everything doesn't look like crap. Everyone says it looks good, the font is big enough, good. And hello, if you've said hello, hello. There's Dave. Hello, Dave, and others. All right, Phil is asking me, nice car, Phil. I love the work you're doing with experts on technique, appreciate that. What's my current plan and access related to testing new equipment? Good question. So right now I'm fortunate where I grew up playing golf, learning golf, working at a golf course is a place called Richmond Hill Golf Club. It's just north of Toronto. I worked there from when I was 17 to about 22 when I started my business, and then they're actually a client of mine still, so I still do their website and pictures and stuff like that. So you'll see I did my video that I did the Callaway Rogue was filmed there. So the guys over there that I've known forever, some of my best friends, I've been fortunate that they've let me go over there and film whenever I want, and they have a super good demo program and fitting program now, and they spent a lot of money on their indoor facility, so it looks great. So that's my short-term plan, Phil. As I said, probably in a couple other comments, I'm not going to focus on equipment reviewing. It's something I like doing, but it's not what I want to do. If I make 3 videos in a week, I don't want any more than one of them to be about equipment. I'd rather, keep it to various topics within golf. And thanks. And thank you to you as well. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody's support. I've been super fortunate in that regard. It's been overwhelmingly positive, which really helps. So Colton, thank you for asking this. This is something I would like to spend some time on. So basically what my goal is to take 10 individuals who are in a bad situation, similar to what I was in about a year ago, or a little bit more than a year ago now. The task of starting a mental health charity is pretty daunting. So I'm not sure if anyone's watched this. There's a really good documentary called Bobby Joe Reed, Under the Influence. So long story short, it's an amazing story. It's a woman who had a pretty horrifying life early on, and she ended up starting just housing and rehabilitation for people that were living on the street, or they were addicted to drugs or alcohol or all kinds of things. And her initial goal was to, I think, to get 5 or 10. She was focusing on women initially, but it's not specific to that now, to get them off the street and help rehab them. So it gave me a lot of perspective about realistic goals within the first year, not going, I want to raise $5 million for research and stuff like that. I think that's what prevents people from getting started, and it prevented me from getting started until this year. So what I want to do, the 10 people that I haven't picked anyone, obviously, it's going to have to go on from there. I want to put probably 5 through, if it suits the individuals, through this treatment that I had called TMS, which is a machine that stimulates certain parts of your brain to help with anxiety and depression problems. It can actually help with a lot of things, addiction as well. And you also do talk therapy at the same time. And I was fortunate to have an extremely good therapist that I still work with now. So it's not included. It's not something you can get covered by insurance, or certainly not an insurance that I've ever heard of. So it costs between $7,000 and $10,000 here in Canada. So what I want to do is fund, let's say, 5 to 10 people on that. And there's other treatments out there. There's some pretty revolutionary stuff with ketamine treatments. There's people that therapy in general would help, just like outpatient therapy sessions. So that's the goal. I want to take 10 people who are in a mess essentially, and probably don't have the resources to get a handle on this themselves. And there's an enormous gap in at least the Canadian healthcare system in helping people get help with mental health. I personally had to wait 6 months just to see a psychiatrist 8 or 9 years ago. And you can see how that is a huge issue for someone that needs medication, and that's just the beginning of it. So I'll probably talk a whole lot more about it, Colton, but thank you for starting the conversation. That's in a nutshell kind of what I have in mind. In the short term, it's something I'm going to have to do as a private kind of citizen, private donor, kind of just going to out of pocket it myself, because a charity setup takes 4 to 6 months, which I am starting as of probably today. I just have to get the lawyer started on it. So in the meantime, I'm probably going to try to fund 1 or 2 people myself, just like off the books, not through charitable technically. And then once the charity's going, I can start trying to raise some money from the community and go from there. Equipment changes I'm excited about this year. I'm excited to play a driver that doesn't have 10 or 11 degrees of loft. So I'm excited about that. I'm finally actually putting some loft on the driver. So I've been messing around with a Stealth a little bit, because TaylorMade was nice enough to send me ahead to test. So I've got a Stealth that I've been playing at 8 degrees with some testing, and spins actually in a good spot, whereas last year I couldn't keep that thing in the air. So yeah, I'm excited about that. All right, I'm going to try to move. Yeah, there's a million questions. So do me a favor, guys. I'm going to try to answer almost every single question. So if you haven't put one in yet, just hang on for maybe 5 minutes. Let me catch up a little bit. John, do I think new equipment is overrated? In the classical sense, probably yes. If you had a new driver last year and it was fit well for you, you kind of have to temper the marketing stuff and say, likely 1 year over 1 year, I'm not going to exactly be reinventing the wheel. If you haven't had new equipment in 5, 6 years, that's a totally different story. So in that sense, no, I don't think it's overrated. Some of the stuff that's happened, especially in the last 2 to 3 years with drivers, has been pretty amazing. So generally, I think you have to be careful with what you hear from marketing. The companies, they're doing what they have to do. They're just trying to make sales, and I understand that. But as an individual, you don't have to go crazy buying a new set of clubs every year. I think people look at me and say, oh, you have a new set of clubs every year, but I'm not exactly in a normal situation. If I was paying retail, I'd probably have the same set I had 4 or 5 years ago. And that's just me being honest. Kim, best graphite iron shaft I've tested was probably the Mitsubishi MMTs. They're about a 125 gram. So another great question. How did lockdown affect me mentally? Almost killed me. That's the easiest way I can say it. Horrible experience. Canada locked down 4 or 5 separate times. So I think the second time it happened really just pushed me to the breaking point that I reached about a year ago, and that's when I really need to get some help. So that being said, would I need help anyway? Yes, obviously, but that did not help. And I'm sure there are millions, tens of millions others who were in the same boat, which is why I personally, I said publicly many times I didn't think lockdowns were effective, and I think they were wrong in a lot of ways, and I think there's a lot of research coming out that supports that. Juice was not worth the squeeze, as they say. They're hurting a lot more people than they helped, unfortunately. So yeah, it was rough. I'm hoping soon enough here in Canada that we're not in lockdown, but there's a lot of mandates and stuff still. So I'm hoping that stuff starts to go away, because people need to live their lives, because there's more to health than a virus, and there's more to health than a lot of things. But how many people are going to have a cancer screening missed, and how many people have developed a mental illness during the last 2 years? It's scary stuff. So that is how I feel about it. Eric, thanks for asking. It's been very stressful, but it's overall been a very good experience. It wasn't something I planned to do initially. I can elaborate more on that later, but it's been like a really nice thing that I can see myself doing longer term. People have been really kind to me in the comments and really encouraging, so I'm enjoying it. But yeah, it's stressful. It's definitely stressful. I got used to working with a partner, working with Ian and I for 4 years, and we had a great relationship. We still, I'm not gonna say in the past, we have a great relationship, and it was really easy on camera to do that stuff, and I've had to get used to doing it a little bit more on my own. But with that being said, most of the videos I do, you guys will see are with somebody, because I just like the interaction. I prefer the interaction. So in this setting, it's a little weird for me. I'm just at home talking to myself essentially, but I've gotten used to pretending I'm talking to somebody. So Eric, right now I'm trying to pretend I'm talking to you. So has it caused me any issues? No, it's caused me a lot of stress, but to be honest, a lot of things cause me stress, and it just takes time for me to just get used to stuff and manage my expectations and just keep things in perspective. And overall, it's been very positive. No complaints. Yeah, there's a couple people that asked a similar question, so I'm hoping I answered that well enough. But if not, you let me know. Drew, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, YouTube has started trickling in a couple bucks for me, which is nice, just in the last 4 days. So that'll help, just help support me financially and allow me to do this a little bit more often, right? It's kind of like, I would have done it anyway, but it being a bit of a source of income will allow me to, one, pay some of my own personal bills, obviously, but also I can reinvest in what I'm doing. I can take trips throughout the U.S. and internationally, visit interesting coaches and other influencers in the game that I think people would like to see. And so yeah, it's just started. I have no idea how financially viable this is going to be long term, but for now, it's going to be worthwhile from what I can see. And if it wasn't for that, I still would do the channel, because there's a lot of stuff charitably I want to do. It's not like it had to be that way, but yeah, I can make a couple bucks from YouTube in the short term, which is nice. Let me try to take, these are important questions. So Shane, what do I deal with on a daily basis? I've been diagnosed with clinical depression, something I've had probably for at least half my life, maybe more, and something called panic disorder. So just basically people are familiar with a panic attack. It's just your brain, unfortunately, reacts to situations that are not dangerous in a way that makes you feel like something horrible is happening to you. So when I was younger, without any treatment, it was really rough. Daily life was an extreme challenge. So as I got a little bit older and got a little bit of help when I was in my mid-20s, helped a little bit, but I kind of bottled a lot of it up. I didn't really deal with it properly until about a year ago or so, when I got some proper help for it. So yeah, it makes life a big challenge. There's really no other way to describe it. And I think anyone who's struggled with it can appreciate that. It's hard to understand if you haven't experienced it, or if you haven't watched someone go through it, because it all occurs, in the mind. It's really just your perception of reality is unfortunately quite warped. Things that aren't scary and things that aren't negative, your body physically and your brain physically react to as negative. So it makes life tough. But compared to where I was a year ago, I can tell you I'm doing a lot better than that. Things are still a daily challenge. Like getting on this live stream, I can tell you I have been anxious as hell for the whole morning, but it's one of those things. The anticipation is always worse than the actual act. So as I get into it, I relax, and it just takes a lot of time. The whole thing takes a lot of time. And thank you for that. Exactly what I'm trying to accomplish is that right there. Let's get into a little golf interlude here. Thoughts on newer utility irons like the Strixon, larger compared to that. Yeah, some of the new ones are extremely nice. Strixon in particular, I think they've had a great one for a couple of years. They've slimmed it down a bit now, so I think visually it looks better than it used to. But they're not the only one. Titleist has nice ones. Callaway has nice ones. Wilson Staffs is really nice. TaylorMade's newer ones are quite nice. Not my personal favorite, those ones, just I find them a little bit on the super knuckly side. Compared to a hybrid, it's a different club. It will launch lower, it will spin less. So if you're a super high launch, high spin player, a hybrid's not gonna work for you. Driving iron is probably better. Driving iron is usually a little easier for a steeper player as well at times. Stuff like that. But I haven't done a ton of testing with the 2022 stuff yet. I'm not sure if I'll have a hybrid or a driving iron. I have a Ping kind of 6-wood thing that I've been using, which I love. It was great. Played some golf in California and Arizona in December, and it really helped me hit a lot of fairways. So unlike those kind of shorter par 4s, it was awesome. Henry, good general question. What are my golf goals this year? So quickly, my handicap, because I've obviously had a pretty rough past 12 months, my handicap went up to like a 2 point something. I had a long stretch of time where I barely break 90. So as I'm getting better mentally, I think I should have a lot less of those types around. So I want to get my handicap back into the plus where it was 2 years ago. Courses and trips, I want to travel as much as possible, realistically without, doing too much or burning myself out. So I want to do some trips for the channel. I want to do some trips to relax and play golf. Anywhere specific, probably I don't know at the moment. A lot of it depends on the world situation and where you can and cannot go. But as I alluded to earlier, it kind of seems like things are getting a little bit less restrictive internationally. Certainly not here in Ontario, where we are the last to do everything, but it should be easier for me to travel, so I definitely want to do more of that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Much appreciated. And honestly, guys, there's a bunch of messages like that. Don't think I'm ignoring you. I just, I appreciate all of them. I just don't want to miss any other questions because I know I'm already going way too slow. How can I work on leaning the shaft at impact? I'm too flippy. Probably the quickest way I can answer this, I think you should look at Watson Hanger. Good training aid. Watson Hanger. I think it's like $50. I'm not a golf instructor, so I don't want to give you crazy amounts of time. I'd love to make a video about it with someone who really knows what they're talking about and kind of, do what I do and be the medium for it. But my personal advice, try that Watson Hanger. It's really, really good. Keeps like a nice, strong wrist condition at impact. Great training aid and not too expensive. Dave, watching the LC video. Having time pushing up any tips. Yeah, you and me both, bud. I would probably say spend some time refining the motion at a slower speed. Maybe even spend some time refining like with a medicine ball or something in your house or at the gym. I'm in the exact same boat, to be honest. Next time I see LC, I'm probably going to ask him the same question. I feel like I can time the downward motion, but it's the push back up. Is it as my arms are coming through? Is it prior to that? That's something I can probably get into him with a little bit more. And honestly, he's very good about answering comments. So like if you go to one of his videos and pop him a comment, I'm sure he'll answer you. But I need to work on that more myself. So we'll chat about that more. And I've seen a bunch of stuff like this, and comments have been great. I totally agree with everybody. Like Larry is the real deal. I've hopefully you guys are seeing that from the videos we've done together. Larry is very good at being concise and to the point, but also giving very good cues that help you understand a movement. He knows all the technical stuff, but I think he's very good at giving you the information you need and sort of the feel you need to make those changes quickly. So couldn't agree more. LC is the man. Jake, thank you. I agree. Yeah. It's going to be a long road towards normalizing anything. You talk to a lot of people. Even in my own sort of experience, I'll tell people that I've been at a clinic getting treatment for my mental health for the last year, and sometimes people just look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? Sometimes people just kind of go like this and then go, okay, let's move on. And some people are interested. So it's one of those things. It's not anyone's fault. It's just not something that is commonly talked about, which is a shame because, it needs to be treated the same as any other illness. I mean, if I got diagnosed with cancer last year, would it be weird for me to tell people what my treatment is? No. So that's the kind of thing that needs to occur, and it will take time, but it's not a hopeless cause by any means. We'll get there. Liberating, scary, or mix of both? Yes. Liberating, scary, and a mix of both. And a number of other emotions as well. But yeah, overall good. I don't regret it. But yeah, it's a challenge. Definitely a challenge. But I think long term, I'm going to be happy I did it this way for sure. I think already I can start to see sort of a future for this and what I can accomplish just within golf, and also what I want to accomplish, charity-wise. I can see this being an important step that I'm glad I took. Big Al, Alex Etchus. I'm going to be playing some Call of Duty with Al tonight, I believe, if I get my dates right. He asked me, I said yes, and I just hope I got the time difference right, because every time he asks me, I seem to mess it up. So I think tonight is his Thursday morning, and if I got that right, then I'll be seeing him tonight. And one thing I do want to chat with him about is doing some kind of virtual stuff for the channel. So even if I just do like a chat with him like this, maybe a Q&A, you guys let me know if you want to do that. But I can set up a live over at Richmond Hill where I've been filming and hit some shots, and Al can do the same at his spot. We can do some fun stuff together. So yeah, I love Big Al. He's always been one of my favorite people on the network of YouTube golf, but also on a personal level. He's been a very good friend to me, even though we live half a world apart. There's Bryce. Good to see you, pal. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Appreciate that, my friend. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Ventus TR. So I haven't tried Ventus TR yet, guys. I would like to. I think I will. Eric from Fujikura sent me an email the other day just to have a chat together. So I'm going to chat with him hopefully later today or tomorrow. So maybe I can get a couple shafts in to do some testing for you guys. Again, not something I'm going to do every day or anything like that. But I think, the big ones like that, Ventus is, Ian always used to say it was kind of like an industry changer type shaft, right? There's shafts that throughout history have been like the shaft, and I think Ventus is one of them. So yeah, I will definitely do some testing on it, but just know that I don't have access to it yet, so it might take some time. Alan, appreciate that, pal. Yeah, I'm not necessarily braver than anyone, I promise you that. It's all incremental. I mean, what I'm doing now, I would not have been willing to do a year ago, and so on and so on. So always just know that what you may look at as a huge jump is always just tiny, tiny little steps at a time. It's just the way it is. So I appreciate what you said, though. It does take bravery to push through this, and I hope that's something I can give people a little bit of a taste for. Is it's not like you have to. I mean, if you're living with something like this, you're already a lot braver than most people, I promise you. So it's in there. You just have to kind of push it up. Who do I look up to? It's a great question. There's a lot of answers to it, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I think sort of an unexpected hero for me is from that documentary I mentioned. Her name's Bobby Jo Reed. If you want to check out her documentary, it's called Bobby Jo Under the Influence. About an hour and a half. It's one of the most inspiring things I've ever watched. I think it really puts perspective into what making a difference in people's lives can look like, especially the type of people that society as a whole just really tends to ignore because it's convenient. People struggling at the absolute extremes. So yeah, I would have to say that's a person that, for me personally, above all else, is someone I really respect what they've accomplished. I think she started by taking in 5 or 10 people, and she has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people she's taken off the street in the span of, I don't know exactly how long, but 5 or 6 years. So it's a pretty amazing accomplishment. Warren, appreciate that. I have dabbled. definitely dabbled. So yeah, you're talking about psychedelic mushrooms. It is a space that I'm familiar with. I have done some of that. Some of it was very beneficial. Some of it was not so much. So I'm not in a rush to get back down that road, but I would love to see more research being done on it and more doctors considering it and more governments allowing it. So I think that's an important thing that the world needs to sort of wrap their head around, because it needs more attention. I think it's like, everyone's scared of it because it's drugs technically, but everything starts out as drugs. I mean, how many pills are derived from, there's painkillers derived from heroin. So we all need to be a little bit more open-minded, and I would never discourage anyone from looking into that type of treatment. I would just say be careful and make sure you do it with someone who knows what they're doing. If you can get on a research trial or something and do it, I would say that's the best, because you could literally have someone with you, monitoring you, administering it properly, because it can be a little sketchy when you do it by yourself. Seen some folks might switch to a left-hand low grip on their wedges. Jason, yeah, that's something I might do a video on. I was somewhere and I saw someone. I was actually at OCN in Florida, and I saw like a really good player hitting cross-handed pitch shots from like 30 yards and just hitting them great. So it's to take away flippiness and yippiness for most people. That's what it is in a nutshell. So is it something I would recommend? Is it something that's a long-term solution? I don't know, but I would definitely consider making a video about it. I really would. Greg, yes, I was. It was awesome. So I played with Mikey from TXG. I played from Blair O'Neill, who you guys will know from the Golf Channel, and she's a Cobra rep, and also with Cobra's VP of, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, innovation, if not engineering. Great round of golf. Enjoyed it. The course is great. Company was great. Yeah, it was one of the best experiences of the trip. It was great. Loved everything about it. Have nothing negative to say. I'm 32. 32 years old. Thomas, that is a great question. Have I gone through some trial and error? How to find a good one? So initially I got therapy through Talkspace, which is an app you can download on your phone. It's not free. You answer a bunch of questions and kind of input what you struggle with, and then it matches you to a number of therapists that they think would suit you, and you do have a choice between them. You can do a few sessions and then go, okay, maybe this isn't the best fit, and switch. So I lucked out. The woman who did mine was very helpful to me. I did it for about 3 months. I needed more and I needed different kinds of treatment, but it was my introduction to getting proper help and actually starting to talk about the issues I have. So definitely recommend it, and don't be ashamed to do some trial and error. I mean, that's just the way it goes. If you go to a session and the therapist gives you kind of the vibe that maybe this isn't a great fit, that's fine. That's your prerogative. You just be honest and just say, hey, listen, like, thank you for your time, but I'm going to look into another person that maybe just makes you feel more comfortable. It's very personal, but look for recommendations in your area. Try Talkspace. There's other apps than Talkspace, but that's just the one that I have experience with. Do I plan on getting into fitness? Yes, I do. Yeah. I know nothing about fitness relatively, but I know that just going for a run where I really exert myself 3-4 times a week has made an enormous difference with my mental health. And through some of the worst experiences I had over the last year, it was one of the things that allowed me to really kind of stick with it and kind of hang on. So yes, I will do fitness, hopefully related to that, but also fitness. I want to do practical fitness that's like, I always have ideas for like golf exercises you would actually do, because I'm the same way. Like I'm going to the gym and doing golf specific exercises. I just don't see myself doing it, but I kind of want to change that perception, and I wonder if there's, I will be working with some experts in that field to sort of, I want to give people who don't necessarily have a gym membership, or even if they do, just some like easy stuff they can do to actually improve their game. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. That is a fantastic question. Yeah, one of the toughest things. I struggle with it every day. So yesterday, I didn't have a great day. I think the day before I felt quite a bit better. This morning I woke up extremely anxious. Right now I feel pretty good. You have to think of it as a non-linear relationship. So if you start here when you're in a mess and you need to get, let's say, here to be relatively healthy and functional, you're not going to do it like that. You're going to do it like that. Like it's going to be, oh good, oh crap, oh good, oh crap. But it's trending in the right direction. So that's the best way I can explain it to you. It doesn't make me feel a whole lot better sometimes when I'm feeling like total shit, but it's the only way to put it in perspective. You have to consider that the reason you are the way you are is probably from years and years of certain things, whether it's trauma or habits. You can't undo them in an overnight thing. And the more you make peace with that, the more it actually allows you to kind of calm down and keep things in perspective and not lose hope in your recovery process. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, forgive me. I'm going to go a little faster. Drew, good question. In season, I hit a ton. The range where or the golf course I'm a member at is like 8 minutes from my house. So there's weeks where I go there every day for an hour. There's weeks where I go there 3 or 4 times. It varies. In the winter time, well, obviously I used to hit 1,000 balls every Monday and then something in between, but I would say, I'm going to aim from like now onwards to get a couple practice sessions in a week. So whatever that would be, maybe 400 balls a week, something like that. But I do tend to rapid fire them, so don't think you need to hit 400 balls. But I tend to be a little bit quick. Brian, great question. That is something I want to tackle this year because I need that quite bad. People often ask me, like, you seem to have the physical skills and knowledge to play really good golf or, competitive golf. And the reality is that golf with an anxiety disorder is not easy. So, I think I would like to do some work with sports psychologists. And honestly, Gareth Rafleski is extremely smart as a performance coach and a mental coach. I know he's well known for the short game stuff, but if anything, his knowledge and his ability to execute on that end of coaching is actually possibly more impressive. So yes, that will be a focus. I need it for myself, and I'd like to share it with you guys as well. I would say a combination of both. I would say working on mental health helps me keep golf in perspective. At times you get so attached to golf, it's like your whole self-esteem is about golf, and if you have a crap round, you just feel like garbage. So the two should benefit each other. The sort of the more at peace you are off the golf course, the easier it is to keep golf in perspective. Golf for me is to go enjoy company of my friends, obviously hit good shots and push myself performance-wise, but not rest my whole self-worth on what score I shot. A lot of people struggle with that. It's not just me, but it's definitely an important conversation. And yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'll be doing a lot more of it. Larry's been great. Larry's going to help me kind of build the swing from the ground up. I've been producing this video series for him. There's like 100 videos we've done together in the last couple weeks where he literally takes someone through building a swing from the ground up, and kind of inspired us to have the conversation about how cool would that be to do in our setting, because I can kind of prompt him with the questions and sort of play that sort of player's advocate role that I enjoy doing, and I think offers value for you guys. That's really the point of the channel. So yeah, there'll be much more of that. I need to get some practice in before I do another video with him, but you should see another video probably up like next week. We'll do another one by next week. How did I decide on my current wedge lofts? I got a fitting. Ian did that live with me. I think we just distance gapped them. It was based on how far I was hitting stuff. So it worked out evenly in 5. I wanted a 60-degree wedge because I wanted it for greenside, so we kind of went backwards from there. And then with the 50, it gave me a decent yardage gap between that and the pitching wedge. And the 55 was nice for the partial shots that I learned with Gareth and Larry as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a fitting process, right? Fitting, or go see your coach with a flight scope and work on that stuff. Show some love for the truckers. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bore people with my political opinions, but if you are Canadian, you can probably understand that Canada has been a very rough place to live for the last 2 years. It's one of the most locked down places in the world. Personally, I believe that you can't pick and choose what protesting you think is okay. That's not a free country. So it's unfortunate that the way this country works is that a lot of what you see in the news is incredibly biased. The truth can be manipulated one way or the other for someone's gain, and the someone is not people like us, regular people living in the country. So whether you agree with it or not, whatever you've read, I always encourage people to just be open-minded, consider the other side, consider the opinion aspect of it, consider where your opinion may have came from. Do you think it might have come from a source that has their own agenda? Those are the types of things I'm not going to tell people what to think. That's up to you, but I can tell you personally that, the research is coming in. Lockdowns did not help as many people as they hurt in this country, and I'm sure it's true of many. So, something's got to give, right? People don't want their lives to be destroyed. People are dying from other things. People's mental health is going completely down the toilet. People are missing cancer screenings. This stuff is real. So it needs attention. I'm not going to comment on the process in which it needs attention, but look around the world. There's enormous 100,000 plus protests in just about every democratic free country that you can think of. So whatever you think of it, whichever side of the aisle you're on, I would just encourage you to try to be open-minded and think about what life is like for regular people. Politicians, unfortunately, for the most part, they're not that interested in us. They're interested in staying elected. So that's all I'll say. I was a teaching pro for about 3 or 4 years. I wasn't the best one, but I was one. Yeah, mostly did junior stuff. Definitely taught some adults. Good experience. I no regrets whatsoever. But I don't think I was suited to be a long-term teaching pro. Especially having met so many extremely good teaching pros, I can just see that my destiny lay elsewhere. But yeah, I was a teaching pro from about 19 to 20, whatever I said earlier, 3 or 4 years of age. I'm just going to grab this now while I'm conversational and fresh, and I don't want to talk about it for the whole live stream. I'm happy to be very honest with you guys, and if there's follow-up questions, fine, but I don't want to swallow up 20 minutes talking about it. So when it comes to TXG, I think the easiest way for me to explain this is that TXG for me was my long-term plan. It was something I wanted to be a part of, let's say for decades. I committed to it. I focused my business much on that in the last few years, and less so on sort of expanding it into other clients, because I really saw it as an amazing opportunity, which it is and was. So I have no regret about that whatsoever. I guess the easiest way to explain it is that my personal ambition and my understanding of where it was going to go is that I wanted to be some kind of partner in the company. I wanted to be, whether that was just in the YouTube side, whether we split it off into a media company, I have a share of that, or whether I could have some kind of share of the company itself. That was something that I advocated for several times over the last few years. I was clear about that being my ambition. So the reality is that was a deal breaker for me, is that needed to be the case for me to continue. So when it came down to, and Ian was good to me, he let me know months before the deal ever happened that it was going to probably happen, so I had time to think about it. And we probably should have had a little bit more candid conversations earlier on, and I'm partially at fault for that as well. I think it was tough for me to make a solid decision. I didn't know quite what to do, but the reality of it is that in order for me to continue with them, I wanted to be some kind of a partner in the business, and that's unfortunately just something we couldn't agree on. It wasn't forthcoming, and it wasn't an option. And it wasn't going to be something I had. So the reality is I would have moved on at some point based on that. I still loved what we were doing. It's not like I didn't want to do it. It's just, I believed I had earned a certain stake in it, and it just, that's not something we agreed on. So I wanted to move on based mostly on that. It didn't have to happen when it happened, but with the company being sold to Club Champion, I think it sort of forced the timeline up quite a bit, where I kind of just went, this is the time to do it. If they're going to move in that direction, that's totally fine. It's not my business. It's not my company to make the decision. So at that point, I think it just was, for me personally, made sense to go, that they're going to head this direction. I think it's time for me to head kind of in my own direction. So I hope that makes sense. I mean, you guys can follow up with other questions. I just want to be the most honest and fair to everyone involved. But it's not like Club Champion came in and fired me or any of these kind of things. I didn't have meetings with Club Champion myself. I didn't have discussions with them about the media side of it. So, we can all speculate a million ways, but for me, it just wasn't, I didn't see it as an opportunity. I saw it as something that I would kind of have to fit myself into. And, as I said, I saw TXG as more of a long-term thing that I would be a part of, and it would be built, on its own versus something that got purchased for the purposes of expansion. I'm not saying that's wrong. I think that's Ian's goals for the company, and I'm sure he's going to do that. I think he's already looking at his next location in Western Canada. So that's all great. I don't wish them any negative anything. And I would encourage people to not, kind of blast them in the comments. I mean, I had to read some of it, and I get people being upset, but I also, I don't like seeing people that I care about getting unfairly, and I just mean on a personal level, kind of blasted for that stuff. So, it was tough on everybody. It wasn't what any of us wanted to happen. We didn't want it to end that way. Unfortunately, it did. These are the things that, they happen in they happen in real time. Stuff happens quickly. We don't always make the best decisions at the right time to make everything smooth for everybody. I'm not going to dwell on it any longer, and I think they're going to be happy with where they're moving, expanding the business into Canada, and I'm going to be happy in doing what I'm doing. I'm already enjoying kind of the process of starting this myself and getting myself out there and doing stuff all around the golf industry, not just in equipment. So hopefully that's plenty. That was about 5 minutes of me blabbering. If there's something I missed, throw it in there. But as I said, I don't really want to talk about this for the whole stream, if that's okay. And I can see that that's in there quite a bit, which is fine. So hopefully those of you that were asking specifically about my departure from TXG, I hope I answered it there. Maybe someone can timestamp that for me. It was about 38 minutes into the stream. We chatted about it for about 5 minutes, and I hope I answered your questions. If not, let me know. And on that note, Autoflex. I think I'll have to DM Autoflex and see if they'll send me one. I don't have one of my own, but I would certainly like one. Maybe a rainbow one. Rainbow for even more, loud and obnoxious on-course presence. Because the pink one, it's just not, it's not loud enough, is it? I'm quickly going to go down to the bottom and make sure everything's fine. Okay, good. Yeah, I got a really brief message that the stream was lagging, but seems fine to me. Seems fine to me. Okay, where am I? Bill, I appreciate that, pal. And extremely sorry for your loss. This is exactly the type of thing I'm talking about. I just don't think people understand that suicide is an extremely common cause of death. People between the ages of 18 and 45, I could be wrong, but I think in males in Canada or the US or both, it might be the leading cause, or if it isn't, it's one of the leading causes. You don't turn on the news and see a counter about how many people have committed suicide in the last month. You see a counter about how many COVID deaths there are. And listen, I'm not saying that that's not valid either, but there's a massive disparity between the seriousness of the mental health situation and the attention it receives, especially right now, because everyone's attention is on the current issue. So yeah, Bill, really sorry for your loss. I have heard this type of thing from a disturbing number of people, and all I can say is that I hope we can just start doing some stuff to make that less common, and take people off that path. That's exactly what I want to do. I think Colton asked earlier what I want to do this year with my goal of 10 people. That's the type of people, these two individuals who were on a path, unfortunately, to that. What could have been done to intervene with them? What kind of support, what kind of treatment, what kind of therapy could have potentially taken them off that eventual tragic path that they ended up at? And, people just don't understand about suicide. It's not, people aren't looking for an easy way out. It's not, It's not that they don't have the bravery to continue. It's more often than not, it is an absolutely intolerable way to live, and it's unbearable, and that's why people end up doing it. And that's what people find hard to understand. But until you've experienced yourself at a level of life being completely unmanageable and unbearable, and it's excruciating to live every day, it's very hard to understand why someone would do something like that. But I can tell you, I understand it very well, and there's millions other that do as well. The Bryson meeting was great. Honestly, Bryson, he had probably 10 interviews to do right after he beat his ball speed record. So I had a front row seat, me and Mikey, for that. It was awesome. He was wailing at drivers for an hour, him and Berkshire, and good on both of them. He was persistent. He kept going. He hit 220, then he hit 221, and obviously still like out of breath, and he was straight into interviews right after. I think we were third or fourth, and I think he had about 10 minutes with us. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I think he did a good job. I think he was, he was engaged in it. I think his answers to the questions were interesting. So it was good. It was brief, obviously, but I enjoyed it, and I think hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Got a little more insight into sort of why he sets up a driver the way he does, why he's excited about this model. So yeah, it was great. Kyle Berkshire's interview was great as well. Kyle gave us a lot of time. I think that's one thing people should know, is that the interview, I think I edited it to 15 minutes or so, but Kyle gave us 45 minutes, which he did not have to do. So obviously I'm not going to judge people's character based on that one experience, the only time I've ever met them, but I was happy with it, and I think they did a great job. Well, it's a great question. It does, but in a low-grade sense. So when I was really in a mess in the summer, I did have full, proper panic attacks on the golf course a few times, and those were pretty scary. But more commonly, you can have a low-grade version of a panic attack, which is, I think, one thing people don't quite understand, is that an anxiety disorder often is just low-grade panic all day. So what being nervous for a presentation for one person could be walking into work for another person. So there's just this massive sort of scale, and people who don't consider themselves to have an anxiety problem, you might be on that scale at times. It doesn't, you don't have to be diagnosed with something to experience anxiety and panic at times. It's a complicated issue, but yeah, I would say overall golf is very good for me in a million ways. But yeah, it gets your anxiety going. Nobody wants to hit poor shots and embarrass themselves out there, and that's the kind of thing that can trigger it, even though it's a recreational game. Stuff like that that's tied to your self-esteem or things that are really important to you, they'll always get your heart rate going. So I did some Whoop band stuff with Gareth 2 years ago, and I remember hitting a tee shot with him where we were literally just the two of us, and I could have hit 50 more and edited the crap ones out. I was up at 150 beats per minute. I mean, it's crazy. So the connection from your mind to your body is one thing that, as another thing I want people to, long-term part of what I do, I want people to understand it's wild what your brain can make your body do. It's not calling it a mental illness is a little bit misleading, because most of what I deal with is physical, and I think most people that struggle with it can probably identify with that. Thank you. Guys, just know you do not have to send me super chats. I will answer as many questions as I can. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, the YouTube thing for me so far looks like it'll be helpful for me on an income basis. Charity-wise, before my charity is set up, I am going to just fund a few people just kind of out of pocket. So I appreciate the support. I just don't want to make people think they have to send money to get a question answered. That's certainly not the case. I will answer as many as I can regardless. Paul, it's a good question. The answer is how could it was done. So my fiance Lindsay did everything and more that a person could do for someone. She's the reason I'm here right now. She's the reason I'm having this conversation with you. So she took me at my absolute lowest point, was calm, had the presence of mind to seek out the treatment that I ended up going to. And it's not like that's the end of it either. She still has to kind of, as I joke with her, talk me off a ledge all the time. It's a battle. So someone like that is committed to you, that is willing to do whatever it takes to keep you healthy is crucial. I'm extremely lucky that I have someone that's done that for me, and that's why I say I owe everything that's occurred since to her, because fundamentally I just wouldn't have been able to continue without the help she gave me. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, we might get to 20K while we're on here, depending on how long I'm on here. Apparently I've already been on here for an hour, so I guess time flies when you're having fun. What are we at? 49 people away. So there you go, Scott. Good vibes. Let me catch up a little bit more. Nigel, good question. Yes. Yeah. I've joked with people all the time that I'm probably not the type of person who should be a, whatever I am, a Z-lister, as I like to joke about. Being in the public eye is challenging for anyone, but for someone who has an anxiety disorder and can have mood swings that spike and valley so much, it's tough. The reality is that there's enough upside in it to keep me doing it, and if there wasn't, I wouldn't do it. So if I felt like, as I said earlier, if the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, if I felt like I wasn't helping anyone, if I felt like people weren't enjoying the content, if I felt like it wasn't, worth what I go through to create this stuff, I wouldn't do it. So yeah, I mean, it's challenging. It definitely spikes my anxiety to a very uncomfortable level, but I deal with it in the ways that I've had to deal with everything. I use medication when I can. I use my therapist when I can. I lean on my partner when I can. I do my best, and so far that's been good enough. And that's the kind of stuff I can share with you guys in more detail as we do more of these. Matt, on-course vlogs this summer. Yes, if I can get the proper sort of production assistance to do it. I like to do things a certain way, so I want them to be done really well. So I won't say yes for sure, but if I can get it produced the way I want it to be produced, then yes, I will do it. Have I continued speed training? No. I never really did much super speed or anything training systems. I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. Super speed has the data, and a lot of companies have the data. It's no doubt it's worthwhile. For me, I can generate the speed. It's more about me sequencing my swing properly and using the ground better. That's what I've been working on Larry with. I get a lot of speed from horizontal swaying and hand speed. They're not the most consistent. They're not the most kind of reliable. So those training systems are great. Just for me personally, probably not what I would use. I would love to get a little faster if I can, but I'm more interested in generating power the right way and becoming more consistent. Steph, going to Pinehurst next month. Any tips for going low on the courses? Get a caddy. That's all I can tell you. The caddy I had, I mean, all the caddies were great, don't get me wrong, but both caddies that I had, one on Pinehurst 2 and one on 4, gave me like incredible reads on the greens, putts I would never have made. And it really makes your experience great. Like, you can just go like, hey, maybe I wouldn't have made that putt, but I had my caddy. We were having a good time. He gave me this read. I made this birdie I never would have made. It's a great experience. And they do a lot of good jobs of giving you lines off tees, making you comfortable, giving you confidence. It's not cheap, but honestly, if you can slide it into the budget, the guys do an amazing job. It's a really cool part of the program, and I think it's a big enhancement to the experience. RMF, soon. I've requested one. It just takes a bit longer to get lefty stuff, so I should be able to do a little Mizuno stuff, hopefully in the spring or sooner. Obviously, last year that Mizuno driver was crazy good, so I definitely want to see what they did with the recent update. What time are we on here? 11:25. Okay, so I must go at 12:15. So I don't mind spending some extra time with you guys because I'm enjoying it. All I would ask is for the next probably 15, 20 minutes, just don't send any questions in. And once I catch back up, I will let you guys know if we have time to add a bunch more in. But I mean, you guys have been great. You've asked a million questions. I just don't want people to go with their question completely unanswered because it's, I appreciate you've come on and asked a question. I just don't want to leave you hanging. Good to hear. Glad. Cobra Forge Tech, that's awesome. Yeah, they are really nice irons. And I think their future stuff looks good as well in the iron department. So yeah, keep Cobra in mind. The only thing I'll say, guys, I'm not ignoring these questions. I really don't know a whole lot about golf shafts. If I haven't tested it personally, tough for me to give much feedback that's super worthwhile. I can give you kind of like what I thought of this versus this for my swing. When it gets into like the real kind of nuances of golf shafts, it's really not my specialty. I mean, you guys will remember when that question like that came up, I would look to my left, Ian would start going, and he would know a shaft from 15 years ago and all the details of it, with an unbelievable amount of details. So save that for them on their live stream, because they'll do a much better job of that than I will. This is a question I got quite a bit, and I think it's a great question. A few people have asked me, like, you know, is it messing you up to go do work with Larry and then Tyler and Ian, and there'll be a million others as well? Honestly, the answer is no. So the whole point of the channel is for me to play sort of the intermediary between the coach and you guys. So just the whole point of me doing the channel is to make, or those lessons in particular, is to make their concepts, their philosophy, their teaching talent, bring out the best of it and make it easier for you guys to understand. So that's really the purpose of it. And then obviously, if selfishly I can pick up some tips that really help me too, I do it. So do I apply every little thing at all times? Does occasionally stuff, you know, conflict with each other? Sure. But it's not messing me up by any means. I can manage it on my own. I pick and choose. And it's not like all their advice is great. It's just a question of, you know, it's not about me, that's all I'm trying to say. It's, you know, I'm fortunate to get a lot out of those videos, but the purpose is I'm producing it from the spirit of it, as I mentioned before, as kind of the intermediary guy to hopefully make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand and make the video a little bit more, you know, just give it a bit more depth. That's basically the point of it. The only thing I will say about this, I don't know anything about their next driver. The only thing I'll say about this is that when Bryson finished the interview with me, which, as I said, I think he did a really good job on, he was taking off his mic. I was just saying thank you to him for spending some time with us. And he just kind of looked at me and he's like, I won't repeat exactly what he said. He was very enthusiastic. Used a couple words that will get me demonetized. But he basically said, like, wait till next year's driver. It's crazy. So I think he's just excited about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The LTDX is extremely good. It's the best driver I've ever hit from Cobra by some margin. So I don't think, as I said earlier, are you going to buy a new driver every year? Then, you know, don't worry about it. If you haven't had a new driver in 5 years and you want a Cobra driver, go demo this one. If next year they come out with something, I'm sure it'll be great, but, you know, year to year, generally stuff isn't an enormous leap. But yeah, I can tell you that I had a personal experience where Bryson basically said he was super excited about 2023. So I'm glad to hear it, but I think he's probably quite excited about 2022's models as well. So, you know, maybe don't read too much into that. If I could read as fast as, yeah, you're probably right about that, Marcel. I cannot read, well, I could probably read that fast, but I probably couldn't speak that fast. What can I take? Do restrictions in Canada make you want to move somewhere else? Yes, they do. I've considered it, I've looked into it, and still not off the table. As I said, it's a very difficult place to live for a lot of different people in a lot of different situations, not just me. So yeah, it's on my mind. It may happen. Time will tell. This year would be a sort of a decision point where me and the missus decide if we want to go somewhere else or not, or spend a bit of time in the States, half the year or something. But yeah, Canada has been repelling me for 2 years, I can tell you that much. This is a good question, Wesley. What do you advise is too much work, or how much work? Sorry, my bad. Weekly practice and drills, your person. I would say stress playing golf more. That's what helped me actually finally get my handicaps moving in the right direction. I've been fortunate to work with some great coaching, and obviously the equipment fitting was wild. I used to play equipment that was so crap compared to what Ian's fit me for in the last few years. So those things all matter, and playing golf, getting golf experience made a huge difference. Bias more time towards short game and putting, spend less time just hitting balls. That's my advice for you. If you don't have time to play around and practice, there's times you should consider just going and playing the round. That's not true for everybody, but I'm just giving you my personal experience. Being technically proficient at golf and being proficient at shooting a good score in golf they overlap, but they're not the same thing. So everyone's played with someone who has a bit of a wacky swing and kind of weird technique, and they just whacks you by 10 strokes, and you just go, what the hell just happened? That's a person who's a very good player of golf. There's a difference between that and being technically good at golf. So hopefully that helps you there, Wesley. Good question. Time will tell what my favorite type of content is. So far, it's stuff like what I've done with Tyler, Ian Meller, and Larry. I like that stuff. Equipment-wise, I like equipment. I do. I just don't, I don't see myself doing equipment constantly. I see myself doing it when it's interesting to me. I see myself doing it with other people, versus just kind of this setting. So yeah, I would say in the short term, as I mentioned earlier, what I like doing is playing that intermediary between the expert and the viewer, so that hopefully my role is to make, one, bring out the best in the expert, and two, make their knowledge more clear and applicable for the person watching. I have not. It crushes me every year when I am asked this on the golf course. I have to answer with a disappointing no. I have not. Been close, but close doesn't matter. Hopefully this year. Hopefully this year. Battle of the Century, Matt versus Al. Thank you. Yeah, me and Al will do something this year, I promise you. Virtually. The world is getting easier to do things virtually, so this live stream, I can basically cut the screen in half. Al could be on that side, I could be on this side. I could set it up where I can hit balls and have foresight going, and he can do the same. So we'll do something like that. Ben, are you moving to the U.S.? Probably not in the short term, because it's not exactly something you can just pick up and do, but I will be spending a lot more time in the U.S. than I used to. And in the future, would I consider moving to the U.S.? Yes, absolutely. I've seen this a lot. I'm going to bring it up again. Larry is awesome. Great stuff. Yes, he is. And he's a good lad. He's a good lad. He's been a good friend to me as well, on top of being a quality coach. Constantine, increasing speed. Speaking of Larry, I would say in filming his whole new video series, he made some great points. You want to build the structure of a consistent and repeatable swing before you add the speed development aspects of it. It's not to say you can't work on speed at all, but in terms of your enjoyment of the game, you have to assess. Are you going to enjoy the game if you're chasing speed and just hitting it absolutely everywhere? Or do you want to feel like you have some fundamentals in place and you've got some structure in your golf swing, you've got some consistency, and then it's like, okay, I'm ready to swing the club 4 or 5 miles an hour faster. And I can tell you from a personal standpoint, it's way easier to gain speed when you have other stuff in a good spot. Doing that ground force work with Larry, like I have to stop doing it with the driver for now, because every time I squat down, my arms are so ahead of my rotation that I'm duffing the driver. On my best reps where I squat, the driver's like in the ground before I can actually turn. So I need to work on drills to get my arms in better sync with my body so that the arms are nice and high still when I am squatting and rotating, and ground forces is just one way to add speed, but just as an example. I would encourage you to go down that route. I understand speed is fun for some people, so don't let me be the person to rain on your parade. If you want to chase speed and hit it further, go for it. What else can I answer? When am I switching golf balls this year? Probably, yeah. But Pro V1's been very good for me, so I won't say that definitively. I'm spinning everything more than I used to, so I will have to assess. I played a few rounds out in, when I was in California, I played a TP5X for a few rounds. Thought it was great. Arizona, I played some with regular Titleist Pro V1, which is a little lower spinning on the irons. I love that ball. I played some rounds in Florida with an Encore ball, which I think is really, really good. So yeah, there'll probably be some kind of switch up, but I wouldn't be shocked if I ended up back with something like a Pro V1, just because it's fit me very well over the last few years, and I like it. I like chipping and putting with it as well, which is pretty important. David, thank you. Appreciate that, pal. You are very much appreciated, and thank you for the donation. Always helpful. How do young golfers compare Jack to Tiger? That's a good question. I don't really compare them myself very often. I think the major total is the one that I always paid attention to. You know, I've always been a Tiger fan. He was a hero of mine growing up. I wanted to see him break the major record, but hard to compare, especially with the equipment and the course conditions that Jack played in. You had to play a little bit of a different game than what Tiger played later on. But you know, a lot more modern golf swing with Tiger, a lot more classic with Jack. Two incredibly amazing players, perform beyond pretty much anyone else that ever has or likely will. So it's a good question. I think, you know, most people in a younger demographic, they probably identify Tiger as their favorite, but I have a ton of respect for Jack. I like Jack, and I like his legacy. I like watching old clips of him winning British Opens and stuff. So, yeah. Dave, no, I don't mind answering this, bud. I don't want to focus on the merger itself being the reason to go. It was more so I had goals, as I said, of having some partnership or ownership in the company. The CC merger made that an impossibility. Let's just leave it at that. So, you know, it was something that I thought was still possible. And the reality is once that occurred, that was no longer possible. So, without that, to me, it kind of seemed like, okay, well, I'm not taking a step forward in my opinion in terms of my career and wanting to have kind of a seat at the table at the company, which I really believed in TXG obviously as a company. I wanted to kind of get involved that way. So I'm not going to say that them coming in is the reason I just went, oh, like I'm out of here. It's not really like that. You know, is it the direction I personally would have gone? No, but it's not my company. It's not my decision. It's not my place to say. I don't know everything about the operation of TXG. I focused 90% of my efforts on the media side. So, yeah, I mean, I know this stuff is just like bouncing around and vague, but it's just the best way I can explain it. It's a complicated thing. There's a lot of moving parts. I just felt that given what I planned for the future and given what was possible, that merger, that buyout would mark a logical leaving point for me, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Are you streaming Call of Duty? No, but Big Al does, and I will occasionally be a guest on there, so I will never stream myself playing COD, but I don't mind doing it with Al because I enjoy his company and we always have a good time. As long as I can keep my language PG-13, then I think I'll always be welcome over there. This is a great question, Zane, and in fact, extremely timely. So I'm sure most of you know Golf Sidekick. I've always liked his channel. And honestly, just like 2 or 3 days ago, because I finished, I'm a serial rewatcher of series over the winter, just to like kill time. I've watched The Office 1,000 times and got to the end of one of these things I like to rewatch and just thought, okay, what am I going to do when I'm just eating breakfast casually for half an hour? So I fired up YouTube on my TV, and I hadn't seen much from Matt at Golf Sidekick in a while, and I put one of his videos on. I think he was up in like Maryland or something. And I didn't realize the stuff that he's been through in the last couple of years. I think he mentioned, I think his mother died. I think he hasn't seen his wife in like some absurd amount of time, and his grandparent had died as well. So I was impressed with how open he was with things that had been a nightmare for him in the last couple of years, and that it had affected him personally, that he had felt it affected his mental health. And I think he had some very positive messages in that video. I would encourage you guys to go listen to it. So yeah, I know your question isn't specifically about Golf Sidekick now that I'm actually reading it, but I just kind of wanted to give him a shout out because I was impressed with that, and I think he did a good thing just by bringing it up and being honest with people. So would I ever do a series playing with subscribers like Golf Sidekick? Yes, but again, as I said, when it comes to encore stuff, I like to produce things at a certain level. So I want to do it my way, and if I can have a little bit of a staff, if I can do some nice stuff where you can see where the ball goes, get stats, whatever it is, I want to do it that way. So consider yes. Is it going to happen anytime soon? Not sure. There's a lot of really good questions, guys. There's some of them that I'm hoping I've kind of already answered, so forgive me if it seems like I'm skipping over your question. I'm not intending to. I think I just maybe have already kind of addressed it. And as I said, there's a lot more questions I want to get through in the next, I really will have to go in 40-ish minutes. So I just want to try to get as many from everyone as possible because I like to be fair. That is a good question. When should someone consider going from game improvement irons to forged irons? I would say, well, a lot of it will have to do with your ball flight. So game improvement irons generally are a bit one-dimensional. They hit the ball very high. A lot of them are very strong in loft. So you may find or a lot of them have some offset as well. So you may find that as you get better, you're overdrawing them, you're hitting them long, you're hitting them over greens, stuff like that. As you improve, your strike pattern probably gets better, and you probably don't need the maximum forgiveness. You may find that you hit more greens with something a little bit more precise in performance, like a forged iron. So I hope that answers your question. I think that's the best way to think about it. But by no means should anyone think like, oh, I have to switch out of game improvement irons. There's nothing wrong with playing a game improvement irons. I've played with people who are extremely good at golf that play something that you'd consider game improvement because it works good. Works for you, keep with it. If you think there's limitations, move on. Appreciate it. Thank you. Much appreciated. What else can I get? Mitchell, thinking about a loop. What's your inspiration behind this stream? A couple things. I just haven't had a chance to kind of chat with all people like you that have been so supportive of me over the last, I guess, 3-4 weeks since I decided to kind of do my own thing. So mostly just kind of wanted to spend some time chatting with people if they had questions about what I've been up to. I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking mental health stuff, talking about what I have planned. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. Am I going to do it every week? Not sure, but I would like to do this on a regular basis. Probably not in my basement all the time, but I would like to do it on a regular basis. Nick, again, super, super generous, but I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. That is what I'm hoping to do. So much appreciate your support, and thanks for doing that. And I appreciate a lot of these similar comments that people are putting in, guys. It's it is very, very humbling, and it means a lot to me. So thank you. I'm gonna get something I haven't grabbed yet. The neck stuff. A couple things. My neck issues are related to my mental health. So a lot of people who have an anxiety issue will clench their jaw like extremely hard, not really realizing it during the day. They'll also grind their teeth all night. So my prior understanding was that it was just detrimental to your like enamel and you needed a night guard, and that's what my dentist told me. So I started there. Noticed that maybe it was giving me a little bit of relief because all these muscles, they just run straight down here, and I've had like horrible pain in my collarbone over the years and shoulders, and I think you guys remember I took like a month off swinging for like 2 years ago because I just couldn't, I couldn't move my head left and right. It was a nightmare. So I didn't know it was from this, but overactive muscles in the jaw, which can be treated with Botox. Not something I knew anything about, but I've had that treatment done twice now. So it basically helps to just atrophy these muscles into a more natural state so they're not so strong. And then that sort of clenching and pain doesn't carry its way through your neck, your shoulders, your back. I used to have horrible headaches all the time. Those are really starting to subside. It caused digestive issues that have been way better than they ever used to be. Like issues with my sinuses, nosebleed. Like I could go on and on. It's crazy. So I don't know that's for everyone's issue, but I did do work with physical therapists. I did work with osteopaths and massage therapy. It would give me relief, but I did not address the source. And for me, that is the source. Hopefully that helps. Or I've just given you advice that has nothing to do with you, but hopefully that's not the case. Yeah, I want to comment on this. Here's the reality with Ian and I. Ian and I speak in the present tense. Ian is someone that I have a great friendship with. Our friendship will always mean a lot to us. It is genuine. What's occurred in the last few weeks has challenged it. It's pushed it. And it's probably made it seem like we've got some distance between us right now, which is probably true, and I think that's fine. Sometimes it's difficult when you are personally attached. I think the way that the two of us were, and a business goes in a different direction that maybe one person or both wasn't entirely happy with. It's the reality of the situation. So as I said, I don't wish him anything negative. Obviously, I wish things had worked out differently. But I hope people don't think that I'm, mad at him or I have a grudge against him. It's, as I said, this is not how I wanted it to go. There are obviously things I wish had been different, but on a personal level, Ian is someone that will always mean a lot to me. We went through a lot of stuff together. I think we helped a lot each other personally, and that stuff is more meaningful than work will ever be. David, not yet. The Ping 5-ish 6 wood still lives. I'm still liking it. I love that thing. I've hit a lot of fairways with it. So, stays for now. Anton, some of my worst panic attacks have occurred on the golf course. Any advice? I don't want to pry too much, Anton, but medication is very helpful. So, I found early on that I didn't necessarily have to take the medication. I just had to have it with me to give me the peace of mind that if I felt like panic was going to occur, my first thought wasn't, oh, I'm screwed, and then my brain just goes straight to hell. My first thought was, okay, if this progresses, I can take my medication and I know it's going to bring me down and I'll be okay. So practically, that is my best advice for you. Don't be ashamed to take medication. There is no shame in it. There is absolutely no shame in it, okay? That's what I would say. I don't know your situation well enough, but I hope that advice makes sense. I don't want to tell people to take deep breaths, and calm down and look at the horizon. I've been in the midst of, some horrifying panic attacks. That stuff doesn't work. If it's upset you enough that you want to bring it up for advice, I think medication could definitely help you. Ask your doctor about things that are fast acting that can bring you down a notch when you're in that situation. That is a great quote, Jason. Yeah, I think that's the spirit, because the idea of changing the world is daunting. I've read some interesting, my therapist sent me a quote, and part of it was something like, the universe doesn't care about your accomplishments, it cares about, the substance of your heart, the substance of your character. And that can be simple gestures, little things. You can change the course of someone's life with a surprisingly little gesture. So I totally agree with that. Brian, appreciate your support, my friend. Again, not necessary, but I do appreciate it. Golf question, do you dial your speed back on the course or go after? I tend to practice faster. Yeah, I think it comes from hesitation. So on the range, I'll swing at it faster, and certainly like in the hitting bay for club testing or just for fun. Consequence is the difference. So when you're on the golf course, there's consequence. You don't want to shoot a crap score. You don't want to hit it OB. Your body naturally slows down and hesitates a bit. I think that's where most people see the speed difference. Now, if you can encourage yourself to go at it and just be like, you know what, I don't care where this goes, I'm going to give this some aggression. I've had great results that way. But it's tough to make yourself do that on a regular basis. So I don't know. I don't know that I would encourage someone to consciously dial speed back. I would encourage them to be aggressive. I'm not saying swing till your shoelaces come untied and your shirt falls off, but be aggressive, you know? Don't worry about the consequence. Do a nice pre-shot routine, have an intention, give it your best, you know what I mean? Don't worry about steering it there, just give it your best. If you miss, you miss, because chances are you're gonna miss badly if you try to steer it anyway, right? So that's what I've learned from a variety of sources over the year, and I think it holds pretty true. Thomas from Second Swing Striping the new Tour Exotics. Yeah, love to try it. Yep, I would love to try that driver. I'll have to get in touch with Tour Edge and see if they would be willing to send me one. But yeah, I was impressed with their stuff the last couple of years, so I would definitely try it. CK, I haven't hit enough of the new ones to make a judgment. I do have a little eye on that Rogue Triple Diamond, I must admit. It is nice. But I've also been getting great results with the Stealth, and I still have other ones to test. So stay tuned, I guess. But this is a good year for drivers. That Cobra LTD XLS, I played my round at Dove Mountain with it just based on the quick fit that I filmed with Jose. Love that driver. I could play that driver tomorrow. So I like a lot of drivers so far, so I'm going to have to start making some decisions. Although I've got another 2 months before golf season here anyway, so I can chill and take my time. David, yes. Desire, and there will be action at some point. I would love to, and I will be coming to Atlanta to play some golf. Looking forward to it. Zach, yes. Yeah, it definitely is, bud. Starts out as feeling impossible, then extremely difficult, then maybe awkward, and it might bounce back between the three. You'll have moments where it feels very liberating and relieving. It might bounce back to feeling impossible again. It's not easy, but it does get easier, if that makes any sense. And really the only way to make it easier is to do it. Don't judge how it went. Do your best. Talk about it. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. Get some stuff off your chest and see how you feel. It's not an overnight thing. I thought when I started getting treatment that I would all of a sudden just be able to kind of like talk to people and say whatever I wanted. That's not the case. You often have to get me in the right kind of headspace or the right kind of moment or rant me into it a little bit, which today has been good for. Honestly, 4 hours from now, someone might ask me something and I may be a little bit kind of closed off about it. It's tough. It's just a challenging thing, so don't be hard on yourself. Just be patient and just try to tackle it little bits at a time. Yeah, would love to do something like that at some point. I saw that the PGA Memes Challenge, they just had one recently. That looks like a great event. And it looks like they raised a lot of money for charity, which I support. So I would love to play in something like that at any time that I would able to get somewhere and play in it. Would love to. Okay, I'm going to say it only one more time. I know I'm being annoying. Guys, I, at this point, have no chance of finishing all the questions. So save them for next time, if you don't mind. And I'm going to get through as many as I possibly can in the next half an hour. But I have a phone meeting at 1 that I must take, and I need to put some food in my body before I do that. So with that in mind, I need to not put another hour into this, which I would love to do, so I answer everything, but it's just not going to be possible. So yeah, let me get back into it. Apologies for that sidetrack. Where am I? Nicholas, that's very nice of you. Thanks, pal. Much appreciated. Current handicap is about a 2 or a 2.5. As I said, it went the wrong direction last year, as many things did. But I am going to rectify that this year. Hopefully get back to the plus. No, I need a haircut. I'm going to get one later this week. The beard, this is what the beard looks like. I haven't had it shorter than this in 5 years, and I probably won't. So the manicured scruff is a mainstay. And my hair, I just need to clean it up a little bit and trim it a bit. But yeah, you can tell I've been wearing a hat a lot. That's because I have needed a haircut. What else we got? Morton, yeah, this is just a simple one for me to answer. Yes, I'm not working with TXG right now. I'm working with myself and a variety of other clients and partners that some of which you guys will be familiar with, some of which you will probably see in the near future. But yeah, I'm not working with TXG anymore. That ended about, I don't know, a month ago or so, something like that. But yes, I can confirm that we are not working together. Yeah, it's a good one. Sunny, I hope I'm saying that right. A lot of the time you will find that people who struggle with alcohol abuse or drug abuse or other issues, people are using those as a way of self-medicating. So it's tough to describe, but a lot of what goes on in a person's head when they're mentally ill is extremely difficult to deal with. It makes your life pretty unbearable. And on a short-term basis, consuming alcohol and drugs can give you some relief. It's not long-term and it's not recommended, but I understand it. I've done it. I get it. So does it lead to mental health struggles? It will make them worse long-term, but generally there's something going on that pushes a person to seek that relief. And I can tell you from my own experience, that's 100% the way it's gone for me at times as well. There's Chris. Thanks, Chris. Chris from Srixon. Should be a good year for Srixon, I think. Some lovely stuff coming out from them as always. Good tour player edition with Old Brooks. Was happy for you guys on that. This is a great question. It has flipped. So when I was the most sick, mental health issues consumed me. I was very afraid of not making it. That kind of stuff consumed my mind, or I was concerned about getting worse or relapsing. As I've gotten better and I'm doing more stuff now, work stress at times kind of gets in my head. I spend too much time kind of worrying about what's going on with work. And then I may sprinkle a little bit of the other stuff in there at times. It bounces back and forth. One thing I have to continuously remind myself is perspective is everything. I have to keep perspective. Where was I a year ago? I'm considerably night and day healthier. I don't have to do everything perfectly. There's going to be stress. There's going to be ups and downs. It doesn't mean I'm failing or getting worse. It's a constant battle. You have to remind yourself of that all the time. And as I said, luckily for me, I have a partner that reminds me of that all the time, which helps tremendously. Let me slide into Jeffrey. That's great. Glad to hear it. Gareth is, as I mentioned in my last Instagram post, so Gareth was doing a lesson with Tom McKibben, who's now on the Challenge Tour, and he'll get some European Tour starts. I think he's 18, maybe turning 19, but probably one of the most talented people I've ever seen playing golf. And so Gareth and Tom together, Gareth teaching at the peak, coach that I believe him to be, a player that talented was insane to watch. I'm a very big supporter of Gareth's, and he's been very good to me as well. So you will see a lot more with Gareth, with me personally, and you'll see a lot more of Gareth just doing his own stuff because he's got a lot of stuff to offer the golf world. And I think, to be honest, I think he's really just dipping his toe in. I mean, on the world stage, it's amazing to me how few people know who he is. There's also communities in which I'm always impressed that really high up established people, I know Gareth, and that's kind of for me a good test. It's okay, really well respected people in the industry, I know who Gareth is, but maybe just not in the mainstream, and that's one of the things that I personally want to help him with because I think he deserves it. That's all I can say. Thank you so much. As I said, guys, this is super, super generous, not necessary, but I appreciate the support. And as I said, I am going to try to kind of do what I have planned for this charity just kind of out of pocket in the short term. So I'm not saying send donations or anything like that, but anything like that does help because I can kind of put it towards that. And obviously I'm in a little bit of an in-between time with what my career is doing. So all the support is extremely helpful for me, and that's a very good message that you've put in there as well. Very important. So thank you. What can I get into? I feel like I'm way behind. I think we got into some lockdown chatter, which seems like most people enjoyed. I enjoyed it. For people that don't know, about 3 or 4 provinces in Ontario are about to lift a lot of the restrictions. Unfortunately, I don't live in one of those provinces, so we are still waiting to see if that happens, but I'm optimistic that they're going to do the right thing and start to admit the mistakes that they've made and do things that are actually going to help society as a whole be healthier and reduce unnecessary death, be from that virus or from other things that go on. Yeah, you can see a few people commenting on that, and it's important. I mean, you guys can see it. Turn on a more neutral newscast and you'll see what's going on around the world, and you'll see that people are protesting in enormous numbers, and it's for good reason, right? It is for good reason. We all need to live healthily, and we all deserve the chance to live, the life we were sort of set out to live. A million people have asked me if I would pop into TXG anytime soon for a video. I wouldn't hold your breath for that. I'm not saying never, but I would say not anytime soon. Will I be doing any videos with Sean Clement in the future? I haven't seen Sean in a long time. He seems to be doing great. I think him and his daughter have kind of teamed up on his content. I wish him all the best. He lives in Quebec City-ish, about 8 or 9 hours from us. We decided to end our professional relationship, I don't know how many years ago that was, 4 years ago. So, I don't know, probably not, but, I wish him well. I hope he's doing great. Charlie, yes. I've seen it. I was in it. I was part of the conversation. I hear you. These things are complicated, though, guys. So I don't want to keep digging stuff up. There's stuff that's obvious, to some people, and it doesn't make sense to others, and I get it. Just the long and short of it is, two people in a situation very committed to it that didn't necessarily agree on some of the fundamental structure of the relationship, and it was deemed, not flexible, and that's why I decided that I would move on. That's kind of the simplest way to put it. Domenico, thank you. Yeah, I'm enjoying doing that stuff with Larry as well. It's been great. Been absolutely great. I'm going to answer this and then I'm done. As I said, all I ask is people to have an open mind. If in Canada, for example, they wanted to make sure the healthcare system didn't become overwhelmed, they should have done something to expand the capacity. They did not do that. There's research clearly showing that the mortality rate that was helped by lockdowns is under 1%. And I promise you, you will see the mortality rate from missed cancer screenings, and the mental health epidemic that is coming is going to eclipse that by a number that terrifies me and a lot of people that are in the circle of understanding what this is doing. I have sensitivity for anything that helped preserve human life, but you have to be willing to admit when there's a mistake been made or when a method to preserve human life was not effective. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is the type of thing people strongly disagree with at times, and I'm not here to convince people to think one way or the other, but I think if you have an open mind, you'll see that the people in power did not do a proper job. I can't imagine anyone really objectively saying that, especially in this country, the leaders of this country had our best interests in mind and they were just trying to do what was right by their citizens. I just think that's so obviously not the case. But anyway, not a politics channel. Dave, I love that you're straight to the point. Honestly, I know Bryson struggles with his personal perception. I know he has his moments. I can't judge a person based on 10 minutes of interaction. So have I at times seen what people mean where he can be a little difficult with people? Sure, I'm sure he's had plenty of those moments, and I'm not going to be the one to comment on them and add anything that hasn't already been said. I can just give you my personal experience. I thought he was good. I thought he was professional in his interview. I think, maybe at times it's just a lot of attention, a lot of questions. The media can be pretty hard on him at times and question what he does, and I don't envy the position he has when he's on TV. So I think people need to be somewhat sympathetic. When you're on camera, it's very difficult, if you're uncomfortable at all, to not come off as defensive at times or to not feel attacked at times. So it's challenging. I mean, I feel for the guy. It's not the easiest situation to be in. Has he chosen the best words in all of his interviews? No. But I don't want to comment on a person's personality because I don't know him personally. I think that's fair enough, hopefully. And Kyle was great to deal with as well. Yeah, Kyle was very professional. He gave us a ton of time, as I mentioned, like a ton of time. So we really appreciated that. Xavier, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. I will keep at it. I promise you that. Dave, I've taken a break from the Whoop Band. It's a really good tool. I was just sick of seeing 14 exertion days every day when I wasn't leaving the house. So because of the mental health issues I had, my body and my heart were running at 120% all the time, even if I just sat on my ass. So it was a little demoralizing to read it every day and be like, I didn't do anything. Why am I exerting myself? So I plan to use it in the future and compare it to what it used to be like when I was really unhealthy. I'd be curious about that, but I don't think I'm there yet, to be honest with you. I know I still have a long way to go to kind of bring that level of anxiety down, and at that point I'd love to kind of reassess and see what that looks like. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Nate, this is a tough one to answer in short. I would say there definitely are, but I want to get a few more videos under my belt with a few more coaches before I comment on that, if that's okay. The answer is yes, there are trends. And that'll be one thing I kind of want to ask coaches is, hey, what commonalities are you seeing if you look down the range with another coach? And this is PGA Tour, but I'm talking about just in general, people at the very top. There's trends for sure. I just don't want to kind of give you the obvious at this point. I think as I work with more instructors, I should be able to identify more of that stuff a little bit more concisely. Bernard, because golf, my best friend died. Yeah. Good. Bernard, I'm happy to hear that. I think golf is an extremely positive way for people to get some relief from their mental health issues, spend time with others. That is a huge one. Get outside, get exercise. These are basic things. Now, are they a cure for severe needing treatment kind of disorders? No, but they are a great supplement. They help me immensely. So thank you for commenting that you're spot on. Do you know any good fitting places in France or Spain? I'm sorry, Cedric, I don't, pal. I know a good one in Norway, but I don't know a good one in France or Spain. Top 5 golf YouTubers I'd like to film with. Well, I'm going to put Big Al at number 1. And I'd also like to do some stuff with Golf Sidekick at some point. And from there, I'm going to leave the other 3 to be determined. I have some ideas, but I haven't had enough of those conversations yet, to be honest with you, and hadn't really done enough brainstorming to talk about what I would do with certain people. So I'll start with those 2, and I'll leave you in suspense for the rest, if that's okay. Ken, I wish. Next time, rain check. I want to get to Bandon someday. Someday. John, I haven't really tested PXG hardly at all. Hopefully that will change in the future. I can get a little source and hit some of them. Interesting clubs, interesting pricing model now. A bit confusing from where they used to be, but yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a gander at it. I just don't know that it's like top of my list in terms of interest. I know people are somewhat interested, but I don't know. It might not be a priority. This is one that's come up a million times. I have watched a few of his videos. I've had tons of suggestions. I think he will be on my list of people I try to get in touch with to go for a visit and do some work together. probably one of the fastest like popping up names I've ever seen on YouTube. I'm sure he's been well established in the space for a long time, but just from my reaction, I can really see him getting traction now, which is great. I've heard this from a few people. Yes, Adam. Florida is on the list. Texas is on the list. A lot of places are on the list. It's just going to depend on many, many factors. Many factors. Lots of good places to move, but I would like to give my homeland a chance this spring. I have a feeling they may come to their senses with a lot of this stuff. If they don't, then me and the missus will be out of here because life is too short. I haven't seen this video yet. I saw him using an F9 though, and I was kind of thinking like, wow, I can't believe he's still using that F9. I haven't seen this video though, so I'll have to check that out before I comment. You know, he must just like that driver. I was a little surprised he didn't switch over to the new LTDX just because I personally think it's so good. But you know, Ricky is a far more talented player, and it must suit his needs better. So yeah, I'll watch that video and see what his thoughts were. Sean, good question. YouTube hasn't offered me that yet. I appreciate you asking for the purposes of supporting. I really, you know, that's awesome that you're even bringing it up. When I get that feature offered to me, I will let everyone know, and maybe just ask you guys like what kind of stuff would be worthwhile for you. Probably just do some fun badges and stuff, something just like, you know, very small dollar amount just for fun, just to kind of build a bit of a community. Nothing crazy, but yeah. Something I would love to do. I'll keep you posted. I just don't have the actual feature on my feature list yet. I'm not established enough with the YouTube on my own. This guy's out of here. You're gone, Sonny. You're welcome to your own opinion, but I don't agree with you. Okay. Any ideas of doing an on-course vlog with your coach? Yeah, 100%, Bill. With my coach and other coaches. Many coaches. As I said, the logistics of filming outside are a little more complicated, and I want to do it. I want to do it well. I don't want to do it kind of basic because I like production is part of my passion. I just love creating stuff to as high level as we can. I want to make it, you know, TV quality, and I think it's possible. So I just can't rush into it. But yeah, I love all that stuff, and I will be actively looking into how I can do it the way that I want to do it. For folks that golf recreationally, is it worth the time and money to have a coach deconstruct your swing? Not always, Marshall. Consider finding a coach that kind of works with your existing movement patterns or limitations. Maybe someone that has a good reputation for helping people make their swing a bit more effective versus starting from the ground up. Because as you said, it can be a challenging, long, expensive process. So yeah, you got to just do what's best for you. And there's a lot of good coaches out there that are in that vein where they want to help you kind of just make the best of what you have and be realistic, right? If you're not going to go for 5 lessons a week, then you need to take a different approach. And it's all about, you know, enhancing your experience and having a better round of golf. That's really what matters. Larry does remote coaching. Yes, he does. Tons. You can go to his website. He does a lot of remote coaching. Shoot him an email, and he will get back to you with when he is available. Will I give you a tour? Sure, eventually. I will admit that this setup, if I showed it to you, it doesn't look very glamorous, but I'll describe it for you. So here in front of me directly is my iMac. Here in this corner, you can see there's a little fill light, which I have adjusted for color temperature to match my light bulbs. Here I have my pride and joy Canon C300 Mark III camera, which is hooked up to an OWC Thunder Bay, which in non-technical terms just takes the HDMI and transcodes into something that I can shoot out to you guys on a live stream with good quality. So when I clean my office up a little bit, as my fiance tells me, it looks like a bomb went off in here, and I've hidden it very well. Trust me, it is actually a disaster. I will do that. But to be honest, I don't know if I'm always going to stream from in my house. I may do it elsewhere more often, so it may not be permanent. Michael, it's a program called eCam Live. Letter E Cam Live. It's awesome. It is a Mac only thing. That's the only limitation. Paul, what do I do in the gym? At the moment, I don't work with a trainer. That's something I would consider. I basically go to the gym just to run and exert myself because it helps me mentally. I do some stretching as well, which helps, but I don't have a specific program. My life program, diet, everything is to do with getting healthier between the years, and I find that really helps. So that's what I'm up to now, but I will be making videos with people who are experts in that, so you guys can get some proper information. And I'll probably start doing some of that myself. Just haven't done it yet, that's all. Warren, you bugger. Well, good for you. Good for you. 6 months in, 140 meters, makes a hole in one. Your joy does not make me more bitter, I promise you. I'm happy for you. I do want one, but I'm still happy for people when they get one, even though you've only been playing for 6 months. Where are we with questions? Okay, let's put a stop on the questions, guys. I'm going to make an attempt to answer the remaining ones before I sign off. You guys have been really good. I don't even know how long I've been on here, but I've been on probably for like 2 hours, which I'm happy to do. I'm enjoying it. I just want to see if I can get a few more in before I stop. I will at some point take the right-handed swing outside, yes. I'm not sure when, but soon enough. This is a fair question. I take definitely some responsibility for this. To be perfectly honest with you, the Discord thing was kind of my baby at first. The 12-month timeline you're describing, I've had a bad year. I've had a severe issue with my mental health, so I worked where I could. I did what I could. Unfortunately, certain things I did just kind of have to let slide. I know there were plans for other people to take it over, which may be what's happening now. All I can say is it was not the intention. I'm sorry it happened that way. I know the members were good at chatting with each other. I wish I could have been more involved on a personal level, but it's one of those things. I had to kind of prioritize what I can handle in a day, and honestly, for a period of time, it wasn't very much. Couldn't handle very much for a while, so again, apologize that happened. I was aware of it. I wish it didn't happen that way, but it's just the way things went. Super chat from Bill. Thank you, Bill. Very kind of you. Really appreciate that. And I definitely feel connected to a lot of you as well that have been kind enough to send me these types of messages, the emails I've had, the DMs I've had. I've done my best to answer just about every single one of them over the last 6 months to a year. And I continue doing that as much as I can. So thank you. I'm glad it has been helpful for you as well. What are my business goals now? Have they changed recently? Yeah, Sean, it's not an unfair question. I would say they are constantly evolving. I am trying to pursue opportunities as they occur. And I've been lucky that a lot of people have reached out to me that are interested in doing some work with me. Been lucky that doing this channel has been well received and you guys have been very supportive. So I'm in listening mode when it comes to people that are interested in working with me, and I'm just kind of in an exploring phase. The channel, to be honest, was a bit of an experiment. I'm glad it's going well, so I'm just going to keep on that kind of train. I don't want to bog myself down with I want this by this date. It's just not the way life works anyway, in my opinion. Things evolve organically for a reason. You meet certain people, you have certain opportunities. TXG is a perfect example. I wouldn't be doing any of this if I never walked into that place and met Ian and we had a great rapport and all that stuff. So things like that are a fantastic part of my career, and I'm glad at the time I was just open to just doing it, and we did great things, and it's time for me to move on now, and I just want to keep looking for stuff like that. But overall, I want to build something of my own kind of legacy within golf, but as I said, mostly within the mental health space. I want to make a difference, whatever that may be. Good questions here, guys. Forgive me for skipping over a few. I just know that I can grab them maybe next time, and you guys will remember to re-ask them. Some stuff about golf travel and stuff. Ask me next time. I'll have some good ideas for you. I did not play golf in university. I tried out for the team in first year. I didn't make it. I didn't really start playing golf till I was in high school, so I was a bit of a late starter. It would have been a great experience, but I'm glad I tried. It just wasn't quite good enough at the time. Yeah, not that part of my face, Dave. Well, I'm not going to do this, but if it was going to make me look younger, I would have had it put up here. It's literally just little needles right on the corner of your jaw. So I'll look younger because I'm in less pain. How about that? But the wrinkles will probably still be developing. I feel like I look 20 years older than I did a year ago. But that's okay. At least I'm on this side of the ground. Okay, 10 more minutes officially. And don't let me go over because I won't have time to eat before all these calls I have. But I'm enjoying this with you guys. I appreciate you asking so many questions and being so supportive. It's making this really quite enjoyable. Kevin, I've heard of ECT treatments. I need to do more research on them. Not something I've considered specifically just because I did something called TMS, which is a bit of a different process. I'm always open. I'm open to everything, and I think everyone should be as well. Consider what the benefits are, weigh the risks, obviously. But I encourage people to try. This is not a science that people have down yet, and I talk to this about people all the time. I think we know more about. Someone quoted this like more about outer space than the human brain or something. Or I'm probably totally butchering that, but I do believe that some semblance of that quote is true. It's just crazy how little we know about what actually goes on in here. So. Depending on the situation, be willing to try stuff that you weren't before. 2 years ago, I would not have been willing to go to therapy at all. And I certainly wouldn't have been willing to go to therapy, with this brain stimulation and all this stuff. I would never have done that. But you have to allow yourself to be open-minded and focus on the end goal. And if something helps, then it helps, and pursue it. Serenity now. That's funny. Thanks for the laugh, Ian. Yep. Frank Costanza, Serenity now. Serenity now. Have I been contacted by manufacturers? Yes. Yep. Had some chats with a few different ones. I've been honest with all of them. Like I would love if I could get just a bit of support for testing clubs, but I plan to stay neutral in terms of sponsorships for the time being, at least, just because I may do a bit of club reviewing, and I just want to make sure that I'm, neutral and objective in that space. So, as simple as that. Yuka, thank you, my friend. All the best to you. I'll tell you what. This is a great question, and I would love to answer it in more detail next time. Ask me again next live stream. I just don't want to rush it. It's a really good question, really important question, and I'd love to answer it in detail. I just don't think it's physically possible to do it in less than 10 minutes. Not currently, Justin. I don't currently have any drive to play competitively because I would like to be competitive in that space. So if I get to a point where I think I could do well in some events, I'd probably do some amateur events and see how I did and go from there. I'm never going to be playing on a professional tour, but it would be fun to do some, local stuff or amateur type stuff to, I like to compete. It's just, I don't love to compete. It's not like my passion. So, yeah. I would love to do that. Yes, I got 2 rounds of golf in Texas in the Austin area a few months ago. I loved it. I met so many nice people, people that knew the channel and people that didn't know the channel, both. Loved the experience out there. I want to spend more time in Texas, and yeah, I'd play with the boys, although I think they would have to give me some shots because that bunch can play. They can play. Neil, you beauty. Thanks, Neil. It's very nice of you. I appreciate that and appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah, I hear you, pal. Thank you for your support, as always. What's my diet like? It's improving. It's improving. I'm doing better about eating at regular times. I'm doing better at eating just food with more substance. I'm not saying I'm eating like super... Oop. Yeah, with me. Sorry. I'm not eating perfect all the time. I still enjoy the occasional trip to McDonald's, and I will never stop. But yeah, my diet's a lot better. It helps me in many ways. Helps me feel better, helps me sleep better, helps me just be healthier. So between that, sleep patterns, and going to the gym, I've gotten some nice improvements on my overall mental health from that. You're kind of right, Parker. I do. Yeah, my hair grows back fast, but I really shouldn't complain about that, as many people have told me. Don't complain about your hair growing too fast. Peter Von Panda, will I be spending more time in the States? Yeah, guaranteed. It is a simple yes, and I look forward to it. Yeah, we'll do all kinds of stuff with Al. I think long drive tends to favor him recently. His club speed is getting crazy, but hey, I'm happy to try. But yes, we'll do some stuff together. I love spending time with Al, and I know that people enjoy watching it, so we enjoy making it. Yeah, Jason, thanks for sharing that with us. Yeah, you're not alone that way. I think a lot of people have had to use substances at times to mask what's going on in their head that's so painful, and you're not alone, and you're certainly not, certainly should never think less of yourself for having done that, because we're just trying to cope, right? Everyone's just trying to do their best, and it can be very difficult sometimes to do it on their own. Peter, it's a good question. I just don't want to repeat myself. I answered it about 25 minutes ago. It probably makes it a little bit harder, but I also find conversations that I have like in this kind of a forum or with people in person give me a lot of perspective and motivation, and then at times that actually really boosts me to taking better care of myself. So it's a little bit complicated, but at times, yes, it makes it harder, but overall I would say it's a benefit, and it probably does help me more than it hurts me. Anything else? Hopefully I haven't pissed anyone else off with my PG-13 rated politics. I like a lot of other YouTube golf channels. As I said, Golf Sidekicks in my head because I've been watching it a bunch, and I just really respect that video he made recently, just chatting about what he's been struggling with in his life. And I just like his videos. They're fun to put on, and just like you can just chill, watch some golf. He's a funny guy. Like he comes up with some hilarious stuff. He's got a great sense of humor. So yeah, he's one of them. But obviously, you know the list I've been talking about for years. There's a bunch of good guys out there, and I hope to work with all kinds of them. Cole, thank you, my friend. If there's a question down below, I will grab it. Oh, there it is. Thank you, pal. Again, not necessary, but extremely, extremely appreciative of that support. It will help, and I will definitely be putting it towards a good cause, not just obviously my own financial stability in the short term between jobs or whatever you want to call it, but I will be definitely, as I mentioned, sponsoring someone to go to the TMS clinic that I went to, just kind of out of pocket, so to speak. Costs about $7 to $10 grand, so that's something I want to do in the short term while my charity is being set up, because it takes 4 to 6 months, and I have to retain a lawyer for that as well. So these are the things that are going on. Just want to keep you guys clear and transparent about what I'm up to, because it's something I really want to get going and start making an impact with. I probably need to get off, don't I? Never. And that's okay. Rick is the king of subscribers. There is nothing negative to say about it. Rick has a great channel. He knows who he is. He knows who his audience is. It's not for everyone, but you know what? It's for a lot of people, obviously, because a lot of people watch it. So no, I don't think I'm going to pass Rick, and that's okay. Maybe I'll do a video with Rick, though, and he can help me get a few subscribers. That'd be nice. yeah, just overall, guys, thank you for being support. I don't know. I just got totally frozen reading someone's comment. I'm sorry. Just being supportive and also helping me focus on not just golf in this chat, doing some mental health stuff. It was important to me to do that today, and I'm glad you guys helped me keep that on task. It's very important to me, but it's easy to get sidetracked. So I'm glad we chatted about that quite a bit. What is something I can grab? Oh, that is absolutely no. I did not leave TXG because of my mental health. That is false. I'm not sure where, I'm not blaming you for bringing that up, but wherever you might have heard that, that is not it. It was also not because TXG fired me or Club Champion fired me or any of those things. So I'm sure there's been stuff floating around. I hope I explained it clearly at the whatever 40-minute mark that I was talking. But no, my mental health is not why I left TXG. What else can I get into here? A lot of people suggesting Florida as a place to move. I like Florida. We'll spend some time in Florida, no doubt about it. And if I eventually move to a place like that, I think that would be just fine. It would be just fine. That being said, I don't want people to, like, charity-wise, I definitely want to continue doing stuff. If I moved in the future, I would continue doing stuff in Canada charitably. Because I just personally see there's an enormous gap in mental health support for a normal Canadian citizen, even if you have some health insurance. As I mentioned, me personally, it took me 10 years to go get help. When I finally did it, I had to wait 6 months just to get in to see a psychiatrist. So if that gives you an idea, there are some massive issues with it. And having grown up here, and the place still means a lot to me, and the people mean a lot to me, I still want to help here. So if I move in the future, just I don't want to make it seem like I wouldn't. I would, definitely, because I think it's important. What do we got going on? John Hart. Thank you, John. Very kind of you. I'm glad that overswinging video really helped me last year around 79. Hello, that's a great score. Yeah, a lot of you said the same thing, that overswinging one was great, and that's all credit to Larry. That arm drift overswinging thing is one of the best concepts I've ever heard from him, and it helps a ton of people. Tobias, yes. In fact, probably going to film some of those this month at a location. I'm not going to tell you what location. It'll be a surprise, but I will be filming that at a location. Okay, I'm in a 5-minute countdown. Chris, not yet, pal, but soon. Thank you for asking. Thanks for your support, but I don't have the driver test yet, but I know I can get one in a little while. Whisker. Yes, I said a few Hail Marys and forgivenesses as well. Hopefully the lefty community will take me back. Okay. Guys, I'm hoping I don't miss anything. I'm going to do 2 minutes. If there's anything that was in the last probably 10 minutes of questions, if you asked a question or you saw a question that you thought was really important, put it in one more time. I'll take 3 minutes. I just can't physically make my eyes skim. I got about 100 questions that are between where I was and the end of the thing. If there is something that you think I missed that was super important, can you just fire it in there for me and I'll grab it right before I sign off. Yeah, and I missed you guys too. Thank you. It's been nice to get back into this. That's a good quick one. What does grip thickness do? Could I change on my iron grips to... Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, Calvin, it's going to get your hands a little bit less active. So for a lot of people, that means less rotation. Bryson said that to me. That's why he uses the Jumbo Max. So that's the traditional thinking. I've seen it like in practice on some 3D motion systems be confirmed. Is it that for everyone? Probably not. But I'd give it a shot. I mean, have one club done up and take it to the range to see if you like it. That's probably your best bet. Pretty minimal investment, so check that out. What's my favorite cereal? Well, right now I'm on the health cereal kick. I'm eating a cashew cereal, very healthy cashew cereal, and I sprinkle in a few Honey Nut Chex just for some extra flavor. That's what I'm having right now. If you asked me 10 years ago, it would be basically the kids' aisle. I used to eat all kinds of sugary cereal because I love them. But now that I'm an adult, I'm trying to eat things that are less crap. John, appreciate the message, but I wouldn't personally be someone that I would offer lessons. I just don't think it's my forte, to be honest with you. I want to showcase really good coaches that I think you guys should go to, and I want to help bring out the best in them, but I don't, to be perfectly honest, I don't see myself teaching golf again. I liked parts of it, I didn't like parts of it, and I think in the end I just decided it probably wasn't my destiny in this world. There's my pal Tyler, come back to Florida. Yeah, soon, my friend, soon. And I'll have to go wake surfing again with Tyler, which was a blast beyond belief. Enjoyed filming videos, played golf, wake surfing, had some good food. I will be back to see you soon, pal. No doubt about it. Jeffrey, thank you. Glad you're back. What irons am I playing? I'm playing the newest T100 Titleist irons with Project XLS 6.5 shafts and Gripmaster leather grips. And I believe they're bent 2 degrees flat at standard loft. That's my current setup. And I like them quite a bit. Dave, maybe one day. Maybe one day. And make some more money first, but we'll see. I would never be against it. I'd love a studio eventually if this is the way I'm going to go with things, but TBD. TBD. Okay. Guys, I'm going to end it there. Just want to say thank you. Yeah, Tyler is a dude I know, Neil. Yeah, go look at the videos we made recently. Tyler and I did 2 or 3 lessons together in Florida. Great guy, great coach, extremely good coach. That we've done some YouTube stuff together over the years. But yeah, as I said, just wanted to say thanks for you guys tuning in. I appreciate you helping me keep the conversation balanced between golf and mental health stuff. I think that's important. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I want to do going forward as well. And I see a few more pals from Cedarbrae logging on. Timmy and Ian, thanks boys. We are on for every Sunday AM as soon as that snow is gone. I promise you that. Yeah, again, just thank you to you guys. Hopefully the chat was good. Let me know. I know I often get sidetracked about world issues, but honestly, I won't apologize for the following. When you talk about mental health, it's impossible to not talk about what's going on in the world, and especially in Canada. I will have strong opinions about it. Not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. You're welcome to disagree. I just encourage people to have an open mind and not yell at me or something just because they don't agree. I just think that there's issues that need to be addressed, and the last 2 years have not been handled well. So when I talk about mental health, this is a huge thing that we're all going to have to deal with. The next generation below mine is going to be affected severely by this. We're going to be responsible for helping that generation recover from a pretty traumatic event. Our older generations, same thing. This has been a traumatic event. So, probably try not to read too much. Don't, pigeonhole me into some kind of crazy politics obsessed guy. That's not the spirit of it. The spirit of it is I really think that people's mental health has taken an absolute backseat over the last 2 years. It's taken a backseat for the last 150 years, and it was already time for it to get more attention. It disgusts me how ignored it was for the last 2 years. And because of that, you will see me get, a little bit passionate about it at times. And it relates to politics because politicians control what we're allowed to do. So I just believe that the more people talk about it in an open space, we can look after each other better and hopefully make it a little bit easier for people to, one, not develop mental health issues that they don't already have. And if they do, make their lives easier and recover in a more realistic fashion. And that's about it. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to log off. Thank you for staying with me for 2-ish hours. I really enjoyed it. And I will keep you posted on when I do the next one. I'm pretty sure I can sneak one in next week. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to sneak in some filming at Richmond Hill and with Larry Chung over the weekend. So hopefully you will see a couple new videos from me, one over the weekend and then one or two maybe midweek next week and maybe live. All right? Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you as always, and I will see you at the next one.